In 2021, there was an opportunity to write a grant proposal to help underserved communities that had been hard hit by COVID-19 to actually produce a concert outdoors, which was something that More Opera had never done before. So I was very excited about that opportunity. And I was collaborating with a friend of mine, Richard Hobson, who is a baritone who has sung at the Metropolitan Opera, and he is bilingual. And I had mentioned to him, we had actually produced a number of concerts together about African American singers. But because the areas that I wanted to target were bilingual, Spanish and English, I wanted to do something that also was inclusive of the Latino community. And as I was speaking to him, Richard was familiar with the film Angelitos Negros. Now, Richard is also African American, and so he first related to me through the film Imitation of Life. And we were discussing how race and colorism differs between Latin communities and African American communities, but as a challenge, but also in terms of some of the similarities that we have. And that's when I said, let's actually do a program and talk about Angelitos Negros, because he mentioned to me the specific moment in the film in which this child who has been rejected by her mother because the mother can pass for white and the child cannot. And she's with her father. And they're looking at all of these beautiful masterpieces. And she asks that poignant question, why didn't the masters paint little black angels? And that just touched my heart. And there is also actually a song, Angelitos Negros. We are not using it in this program, but in our very first iteration, Richard did sing that song. But that's how it all began. And what we learned through the process is just how meaningful this has been for so many people.
And and when you contacted me for the second reiteration of Angelitos Negros, you were mentioning a lot about the commonalities of the Latino community and the African American community, and how we have similar struggles, similar histories, and you opened up, a view of our histories that sometimes we think of our communities as separate, right? We have this community, these other communities, but there's so much more that connects us. You even mentioned, for example, we were doing the Juneteenth celebration, and you mentioned how maybe you can mention a little bit about that, the commonality of how the African American community were celebrating not only in Texas but also across some of the Latin American countries.
Yes, especially in Mexico. There are communities in Mexico that also celebrate Juneteenth. And, it is so important for us to remember that there is more that connects us than not. And one of the things that's beautiful about music is that it's easier to feel that connection. I think I was born an opera singer. I'm told that I started singing when I was 2. I always had a really big voice. And so my approach is the same whether I am singing a spiritual or now that I'm learning to sing Spanish music and or opera. And so the interesting thing for me, I believe, is that especially what I saw in the communities when we did our first Angelitos Negros, which was such an amazing success that unexpected. So what ultimately happened, especially in Washington Heights, which has a large Dominican community, but also has a Puerto Rican community, um, is that our show started at 5 in the evening and was supposed to last about 75 minutes, 90 minutes tops. And more people kept coming and more. And we even were told later that people sat on their stoops in the community. They could hear the music and everything. We didn't leave until 9:30 that
Wow.
night. But what had happened was that not only were we doing opera and even a little bit of Broadway, but we also had Caribbean music. And when people heard that, and it brought back memories, and or sometimes they were singing with us and everything, that was, just the start of things. So that when I think of also the Discovery Orchestra, and they talk about listening and everything, it opened people to then listen to the other music, and then they suddenly discovered, oh, wait a minute, that's opera. I like it, or it's beautiful. And so when you can do that, when people are open to experiencing
Yep.
new things, it's amazing, it's electrifying, and that's what happened outdoors with people wearing masks in the 2021, and it was just a great connection.
And for me, I think music. I'm a musician, so maybe I'm a little bit biased on this, but I think that music is the tool that can open our minds the most, because every genre of music has something special, and if we don't yet understand or appreciate that genre, it's not on the genre, it's on us.
Yes.
So it's in a way, it's on us to try to open our minds to understand and appreciate the culture that created this art form.
Yes.
And that opens our minds as well.
Right. Now, and I would just like to say that with what you said, that is not a criticism of people not appreciating certain things. It means that it hasn't been explained to them correctly. And again, that's something that we do with Angelitos Negros, with our narration, explaining the music. It's what the Discovery Orchestra does with explaining how to listen. And when you provide the proper tools, then people can then understand and appreciate. I will say,
And that's any genre.
Yes, any
genre, any culture, it's in a way. For example, if somebody has a difficult time listening to Indian ragas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is in a way is on us to try to appreciate where it comes from, why, and then once you're able to do that, you open up a whole world of a whole culture and history
and understanding. So
it builds bridges.
Yes. So you don't, especially if there's music that is sung or has lyrics, you don't have to always understand the words. You can understand what the composer had is conveying, and or how it's interpreted. And it actually is really kind of fun sometimes to close your eyes and just to really try to understand.
And by the way, you remind me when you were saying, we're gonna do a song in Spanish, Por Amor.
Yes.
You're gonna sing that. And I remember when we did that in Manhattan with an audience that was mostly Dominicans. And this is like a national anthem for the Dominican people.
Yes.
They love this song. And then you come in and you sing it with your operatic voice. And Spanish is not your language, right? It's not your first language. And all of a sudden you see like half of the audience singing with you and crying. And they come up to you and they said, this is one of the most beautiful renditions of this song that means so much to us. And coming from somebody that is not Dominican, putting all their heart and their passion and with so much care and so much love, it meant so much to Dominican people. And that's
Thank
what we're
you.
doing here, is
Yes.
learning from each other,
Yes.
and learning how to appreciate each other's histories and finding the commonalities, because
Yes.
we have so much in common.
Yes.
I think that music is in a way connects people. We connect on an emotional level. There's different ways to connect. We can connect with a flashy technique, with an impressive performance. We can connect by sharing ourselves and being vulnerable and sharing like an honest performance. Or some people also connect at a very intellectual level. The stronger connections that I had with audiences has been a balance between the three. To having a performance that is technically very well done, and that's why we have this rehearsal today. To make sure that we're all at our best technically.
Yes.
But also, if we don't share our honest selves in the performance, you're just, you're not, the technique is just meaningless, right? It's just
Absolutely.
so that's the other part. But also, I think the intellectual part, and that's where we talk about the music, we talk about the history, maybe a little bit of what is the composer trying to portray, what influenced the music, because now we're connecting to the music in three different levels, right? Intellectually, emotionally, and also, with a hopefully impeccable or really good, technique.
Let's then discuss when it is an audience that doesn't necessarily understand the music. And I would like to use the example of Lift Every Voice and Sing. And especially right now, there has been some criticism about the song and not understanding it. Now, we are going to present that to open our performance, because this is the 125th anniversary of that first performance, which was given on February 12th, Abraham Lincoln's birthday in 1900. And that song was written by African Americans who were a little bit past the Jim Crow era and who truly aspired to demonstrate that African Americans could contribute to America in general. It is an American story. It is an American song. And my hope will be that through the words that I convey, and then when it is sung, that the audience listening, regardless of what they have heard in the past, will understand the true intent of the lyricist as well as his brother, the composer who set the words to music. Well, this is my first visit to Grace Church, and I have been welcomed by the music director, Wolf, and by Father Bates. And it's, first of all, a beautiful, beautiful sanctuary and beautiful church, and historic. And so acoustically, I knew before even coming here that this would be such a beautiful place to sing in. But there's a magnificent organ, and the piano has just been tuned for us. They've just done a wonderful job of making us feel welcome.
And you mentioned that this place is historic. Grace Church is historic, and we're gonna sing today, "Lift Every Voice." I mean, we're gonna sing in at Grace Church, "Lift Every Voice," and around that time, there was a musician here. The music director of this church wrote the hymn "America the Beautiful," right here.
Yes.
So it's kind of tying two very iconic, American hymns
Yes.
that were written about the same time And celebrating that here in such a historic place
Yes,
is
that is
really a beautiful
really
place.
amazing. And one of the other things that I just want to for everyone to remember underlying all of this is that we are telling American stories from different perspectives.